Hello YouTube, this is me again. Today I want to talk about this topic called Why is Self-Righteous Works Popular Than Belief on Jesus Christ? But before I begin, let's pray. If I preach this, they fail to explain what you want to say. I preach out to explain what the Bible teaches on this subject. That's all this in Jesus' name I pray. But now it's just going to be a short video, and the reason why I'm making this video is because this right here is the truth right now. This is the truth right now, because there are people out there who prefer, or should I say, there's people out there that like to hold on to this, they like to rely on their self-righteous works to get them to heaven instead of believing on Jesus Christ. And most churches that I say, most churches, they teach that that salvation is by what we do, not what Jesus did for us. And that's pretty sad and tragic that people like this, they have this kind of mindset. They have this kind of mindset because they prefer seeking after their own righteousness. And why is that? Because they're very prideful, they're ignorant of the scriptures, and they claim that they know the scriptures, but they actually don't. Whenever they quote passages of scriptures, they twist them out of context to justify their wickedness, to justify their false doctrine. And that's where it's sad, tragic. But the Bible tells us in Philippians, not Philippians, Philippians. The Bible tells us in Philippians chapter 3, verse. See if I can turn this on to be cool. Philippians chapter 3. It says in verse 9, and be found in Him, not having my own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Christ, the righteousness which is of God by faith. And the Bible tells us in John chapter 1. The Bible says in John chapter 1 verse 17, it says, for the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. So the reason why people want to hold on to their self-righteous works, or the reason why people are trusting their own self-righteousness to save them, or thinking that their self-righteousness will get to heaven, the reason why people are putting their trust in that is because they rejected the free gift of eternal life that Jesus Christ offers them. All they gotta do to receive the free gift of eternal life is by believing on Jesus Christ for it. Because Jesus Christ said in John 6 verse 47, very fair I say to you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. So there you have it right there. All you gotta do is just receive the free gift of eternal life that Jesus Christ offers. But sadly, many people refuse to do so because they don't believe. They don't believe that that's enough to save them. They don't believe that belief on Jesus Christ alone is what saves them. But what you see right there, Jesus Christ says so. Jesus Christ makes salvation very easy and simple. Yet there are people out there who want to make salvation very hard and difficult. And why they want to make salvation difficult is because they're not saved. They're seeking after their own righteousness. And the reason why that is because, according to the Bible, they're ignorant. They're very ignorant of the scriptures. As the Bible tells us in Romans chapter 10. Let me see if I can turn there. Romans chapter 10, it says in verse 3, for they, being ignorant of God's righteousness, and going about to establish their own righteousness. And why is that? Because they have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. And verse 4 tells us, for Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. So let me ask you another question. Why is it that people like this, they don't want to accept the fact that believing on Jesus Christ is enough to save them? Why would they refuse to accept this fact? Because, like I said before, they're not saved. They refuse to come to the righteousness of God. They refuse to seek after God's righteousness. So therefore, they want to seek after their own righteousness, which is their filthy rags. And the Bible tells us that our righteousness are as filthy rags, and none of our righteousness cannot get us into heaven. So no matter what we do in this lifetime, no matter how much good we do, no matter how much we do a lot of good things and do everything like read the Bible's pray, turn from sin, like these people are preaching. Because most churches, they like to say they got turn from sin, turn from this sin, turn from that sin. All this stuff is works. All this stuff is self-righteousness. And none of those things cannot get us into heaven. And yet these people are simply putting their trust in that. They're putting their trust in their works to save them instead of trusting in Jesus Christ alone with what he has done for them. And what Jesus did for them, he died on the cross for our sins, he was buried, and 3 days later, he rose again according to the scriptures, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 3 and 4. So that's the reason why this self-righteous works is very popular instead of belief on Jesus Christ. And this is so sad and tragic. Because you see, Jesus Christ, he's the one that makes salvation very easy, like I said. He's the one that makes salvation very simple. But like I said, it's very sad that these people, they don't want to make salvation simple. They want to make salvation hard and difficult. So therefore, they want to preach hard believers on. And try to prevent people from reaching heaven, just like Satan. And Satan is glad. Satan is glad about that. And the Bible says that people like that, they disguise themselves as the ministers of righteousness. It says in 2 Corinthians, let me see if I can turn there. 2 Corinthians chapter, let me see. Verse 11, it says in verse 13, in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13, it says, For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. Verse 14, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, verse 15, therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. So people like that, they're gonna stand before God Judgment Day, and God's gonna say to those people, "Depart from me, I never knew you. Depart from me, I never knew you." Why? Because these people were wasting their time while they were here on this planet, while they were here on this earth, seeking after their own righteousness instead of seeking after God's righteousness, which is to believe on what Jesus did for them, where he died on the cross for our sins, was buried, and 3 days later rose again. Believe on him, get eternal life. And that's the truth right now. So that's pretty much all I had to say about that. Let me close and pray. Alright, dear God, thank you for my precious. Thank you for allowing me to explain what your word says. I give you praise, honor, and glory for all these things. In Jesus' name I pray.